Alright, how's it going? Welcome back to Daily Bible Reading. My name is Wesley, and today we're going to be continuing reading through the book of Exodus with Exodus chapter 12. If you want to go ahead and flip over there with me and follow along. And it says in verse 1, Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron of the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month every man shall take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the persons. According to each man's need you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. Now you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire. With unleavened bread and bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its entrails. You shall let none of it remain until the morning, and what remains of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus you shall eat it, with the belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. So you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night, and will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. So this day shall be to you a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it as a feast by everlasting ordinance. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven from your houses. Whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. So the Lord here is saying, He's telling Moses and Aaron to tell everybody, all the Israelites, to get a lamb and then kill it, eat the meat, and spread the blood from the lamb over their doorpost. That way He knows to pass over their houses. That's where the Passover comes from, because God's going to pass over the houses with the blood of the lamb on it. And then He tells them that this will be a ceremony, which it does later in the Bible. You can see them celebrating the Passover every year like it says here. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and on the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation for you. No manner of work shall be done on them, but that which everyone must eat, that only may be prepared by you. So shall you observe the feast of unleavened bread. For on this same day I will have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as an everlasting ordinance. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days no leaven shall be found in your houses. Since whoever eats what is leavened, that same person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he is a stranger or native of the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your dwellings you shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, Pick out and take your lambs for yourselves according to your families, and kill the Passover lamb. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out the door of his house until morning. For the Lord will pass through to strike the Egyptians. And when He sees the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses and strike you. And you shall observe this thing as an ordinance for you and your sons forever. It will come to pass, when you come to the land which the Lord will give you, just as He promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall be, when your children say to you, What do you mean by this service? That you shall say, It is the Passover sacrifice of the Lord, whoever over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when He struck the Egyptians and delivered our household. So the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the children of Israel went away and did so, just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. So these verses up to 28 is talking about the Passover and what they have to do and what they should do on this specific day, and how they shall keep it throughout their generations. And it came to pass at midnight that the Lord struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the livestock. So Pharaoh rose in the night, he, all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. So the Passover happens, and none of the Egyptians had the blood of the lamb on their doorposts, and so all the firstborn died, not just the firstborn children, but the firstborn of the livestock as well. Then he, the Pharaoh, called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise, go out from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as you have said. Also take your flocks and herds, as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. Also take your flocks and herds. And the Egyptians urged the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls wound up in their clothes on their shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, and they had asked him from the Egyptians articles of silver, articles of gold, and clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them what they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. A mixed multitude went up with them also, flocks and herds, and a great deal of livestock. And they baked unleavened cakes out of the dough which they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared provisions for themselves. Now the sojourn of the children of Israel who lived in Egypt was 439 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 439 years, on that very same day, it came to pass that all the armies of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night of solemn observance to the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. That this is the night of the Lord, a solemn observance for all the children of Israel throughout their generations. So the Pharaoh calls Moses and Aaron, and he basically tells them to leave. But before they leave, they ask for gold and silver, and they give it to them. Basically, the people of Israel just want Israel out at all costs, pretty much. And so they left men, women, children, and all their flocks and livestock. And I'm going to continue reading here in verse 43. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat it, but every man's servant who is brought for money. When you have circumcised him, then he may eat it. A sojourner and a hired servant shall not eat it. In one house it shall be, and you shall not carry any of the flesh outside the house, nor shall you break one of its bones. And all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger dwells with you and wants you to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as a native of the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat it. One law shall be for the native born, and for the stranger who dwells among you. Thus all the children of Israel did, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass on that very same day, that the Lord brought out the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt according to their armies. So that's the whole chapter. So the Passover happens where all the firstborn die in the land of Egypt, children and livestock. And so the Pharaoh tells Moses and Aaron and all the Israelite people to leave, and they take all the stuff from Egypt. And at the end is more regulations of the Passover. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, go ahead and please hit that like button for me, and maybe subscribe as well. And I hope y'all all have a great rest of y'all's day, and I will see y'all in the next video.